All right, let's talk about something that I know can feel a little dry. Nonprofit meeting minutes. But stick with me here, because this is way more important than it sounds. These aren't just notes. They're the official story of your organization's entire governance. And trust me, getting them right is absolutely crucial.
So, let me ask you this, and it's a big one for your organization's health. Are your meeting minutes a vital tool, something that really protects you? Or are they a ticking time bomb just waiting to go off? The difference between those two things is huge, and it's exactly what we're going to explore. Okay, first things first. Let's be really clear about what we're talking about. Meeting minutes are not just some random notes someone's jotting down. Nope. They are the official, legal, written record of what happens in a board meeting. You got to think of them as the permanent, undeniable proof of every decision your board makes.
All right, so why all the fuss, right? Why do these documents matter so much? Well, let's get into it. It really boils down to three things. They are your proof, your evidence, and your shield.
First up, and this is a big one, the IRS. Seriously, if an auditor ever comes knocking, the first thing they'll want to see is proof that your board is actually, governing. Your minutes are the hard evidence that you're not just a list of names on paper, but a real, active board making real decisions.
And hey, it's not just about the government. What about your funders? The people writing the checks. A lot of grant makers, before they commit any money, will ask to see your minutes. They're basically using them as a peek behind the curtain to make sure you're running a tight ship.
And last but definitely not least, your minutes are your shield. And I mean that literally. If you ever get sued, these documents can be your best friend. They're the proof that your board acted responsibly, and that can protect board members from being held personally liable. That's huge.
Okay, so we've established why this is so critical. Now let's get into the nitty-gritty, the what. What are the essential ingredients, what absolutely has to be in there every single time to make sure these records are solid?
Think of this as your bare bones checklist. You've got the basics, right? Date, time, who showed up. You also have to confirm you had a quorum. That just means enough people were there to actually hold a vote. Then for every single decision, you need to log who made the motion, who seconded it, and what the vote was. Oh, and this part is so important. If someone has a conflict of interest and has to step out of a vote, you have to write that down. Finally, you just need a summary of the main discussion points, and I mean summary, not a novel, and a list of who is supposed to do what next.
And this quote right here, it just hits the nail on the head. Being vague is your worst enemy. You can't just write down, "The board approved it." That's not going to cut it. You need the details. Was it unanimous? Did 3 people vote no? That's the stuff that makes it a real legal document.
All right, so we know what to do. Now let's talk about what not to do. Let's look at 4 super common and potentially really costly mistakes that can just totally wreck your records.
Mistake number 1, waiting too long. Look, trying to write minutes from memory weeks after a meeting, it's a recipe for disaster. They just don't look credible. The best practice? Get that draft done within a day or 2 while it's all still fresh in your mind. Simple as that.
Next up is a really big one, missing votes. Just saying the board talked about compensation means nothing. It's legally useless. If you don't have a motion, a second, and a recorded vote, you have absolutely zero proof that a decision was officially made. It's like it never happened.
Okay, this next one is a classic case of less is more. The mistake? Too much detail. You're not writing a screenplay here. You're creating a legal record. Capturing every little argument or who said what can actually open you up to legal trouble later. The goal is to summarize the rationale for a decision, not to document all the drama. And the last big mistake, leaving your minutes as unapproved drafts. An unsigned, unapproved draft is basically just a piece of paper. It has no legal weight. To make it official, the board has to review it and formally vote to approve it at the next meeting. That's the final stamp of approval.
So how do we put all this together and make your minutes totally bulletproof? Well, the good news is there's a really simple process for this. It's not rocket science. You just have to follow the steps.
Here it is, your 5-step plan for success. 1. The secretary drafts the minutes right after the meeting. 2. They circulate that draft to the whole board to check for any mistakes. 3. At the very next meeting, the board formally votes to approve them. 4. The secretary signs that approved version. And 5. You store it somewhere safe forever. Draft, circulate, approve, sign, store. Do that every time, and you're golden.
And I really have to stress this last part. Meeting minutes are permanent records. I mean, permanent. Unlike other documents you might toss after 7 years, these should never be destroyed.
They are the living history of your organization, and they need to be kept forever.
So let's leave it with this thought. Your meeting minutes are quite literally the first draft of your organization's history. They're telling the story of every big decision, every challenge, every success. So the real question you have to ask yourself is, are you telling that story the right way?